Have you ever locked eyes with your roommate over morning coffee, swapping stories about your day like old pals, only to catch a flicker in their gaze that whispers, "I know more about you than you think," and suddenly every creak in the floorboards at night feels like their secret unraveling your sanity? What if that casual chat about your favorite band turns into them humming your private playlist in the shower, or worse, recreating your exact laugh in the dead of night when they think you're asleep? Tonight we're peeling back the layers on the first of 4 true creepy roommate horror stories that prove the scariest monsters do not lurk in closets. They bunk in the room next door, stealing pieces of your soul one borrowed towel at a time. This one's called The Mimic, and it's ripped straight from the nightmares of a 23-year-old graphic designer named Lena, who in the sticky summer of 2022 answered a Facebook Marketplace ad for a split-rent loft in Austin, Texas. Lena had just graduated from the University of Texas, with dreams of freelancing her way to indie comic glory, her portfolio bursting with edgy ink drawings of fractured identities. Ironic, huh? The ad screamed affordability, a sun-drenched space with vaulted ceilings, exposed beams, and a roommate named Riley, who promised to be low-key, creative vibe only. They video-called first. Riley, 25, with a pixie-cut, dyed electric blue, tortoise-shell glasses, and a wardrobe of thrift store band tees, gushed about her stop-motion animation gigs. "We'll collab on projects," she beamed, her smile all dimples and warmth. Lena, fresh off a bad breakup, felt that spark of sisterhood. Move-in was seamless. Lena's sketchbooks stacked on the communal coffee table, Riley's clay figures perched like quirky sentinels on the windowsill. That first week, pure magic. Late-night tacos from the truck down the block, Riley blasting Lena's obscure indie playlist while they danced barefoot on the hardwood, trading tips on Adobe shortcuts like they were decoding the universe. But listener, hold on to your keys, because the mimicry started subtle, like a whisper in fog you mistake for the wind. It was week 2. Post-midnight, when Lena stirred from a nap on the couch, her eyelids heavy from a client deadline. The apartment hummed with the low buzz of the AC, but there it was, a soft rustle from the kitchen, followed by the clink of a mug. She patted over, expecting Riley raiding the fridge for leftovers, but found her roommate silhouetted against the fridge light, not eating but arranging. A half-eaten apple, core out, positioned just like the one Lena had abandoned that morning. And then, the voice, a murmur, low and lilting, reciting Lena's grocery list from her phone notes. Avocados, oat milk, that weird chili crisp. Lena froze in the doorway, heart stuttering like a glitched track. "Riley," she called, voice cracking. The figure turned, apple in hand, and Riley's face split into that dimpled grin. "Oh, hey, couldn't sleep. Grabbed a snack. Yours looked good, so I copied." Copied. The word hung like smoke. Lena laughed it off, blaming the heatwave haze. But that night, as she scrolled TikTok in bed, her door ajar, she heard it again. Her own laugh, bubbling up from Riley's room, timed perfectly to the video Lena had just favorited. A viral clip of a cat failing spectacularly at a jump. Not approximate, exact, down to the breathy hitch at the end. Now, imagine you're Lena, tangled in those thrift store sheets that smell faintly of patchouli and regret, the loft's thin walls turning every sigh into a symphony of secrets. The city outside pulsed with cicada hum and distant bar laughter, but inside, the air thickened, charged like before a storm. By week 3, the echoes amplified. Lena's morning routine, brushing her teeth with that specific 3-finger grip, humming a half-forgotten Nirvana riff while staring at her reflection, suddenly played back at odd hours. She'd emerge from the bathroom, towel-turbaned, to find Riley at the sink, mirroring the exact strokes, the same melody warbling from her lips. "Great minds," Riley would quip, foam at the corners of her mouth, eyes sparkling with something too sharp for playfulness. Lena's sketches, left open on the table for air-drying, sprouted uncanny twins overnight. Riley's animations now featured characters with Lena's jawline, her freckle constellation, even the scar on her knuckle from a childhood bike crash, rendered in meticulous stop frame. "Inspired by you," Riley confessed one evening over vegan stir-fry, her fork twirling noodles in Lena's precise clockwise swirl. "You're my muse, girl. That raw edge in your lines, it's electric." Flattery, sure, but it slithered under Lena's skin like damp heat. She started journaling it, bullet points in her moleskin. July 15th. Riley wears my exact outfit from yesterday down to the mismatched socks. July 18th. Finds my lost earring in her drawer, claims manifestation. Friends dismissed it over beers at the dive bar. Artistic types overlap. It's symbiosis, not stalking. But Lena knew. Felt it in the way Riley's gaze lingered during their collabs, sketching Lena's profile when she thought eyes were elsewhere, whispering, "I get you like, deeper than you get yourself." The breaking point brewed on a humid August night, thunderstorm rattling the skylight like divine applause. Lena, insomnia's victim, wandered to the kitchen for chamomile, barefoot and bleary. The loft was ink black save for a glow from Riley's door, ajar, inviting. Curiosity, that old serpent coiled tight. Lena nudged it wider. There, bathed in laptop blue, sat Riley cross-legged on her bed, surrounded by Polaroids, dozens, fanned like a tarot spread. Lena asleep on the couch, mid-snore. Lena laughing at a text, unguarded joy. Lena in the shower, steam-veiled but silhouette stark, captured through a crack in the door. And the notes, scrawled in Riley's looping script. Her sigh at 2 a.m., mine now. That scar tells her story, I'll wear it better. I thought I knew who I lived with. Turns out, she's the blueprint for me. Bile surged. Lena backed away, heel catching a clay figurine that shattered like bone. Riley's head snapped up, eyes wide, not shock, but hunger. "Lena, come in. Let's talk evolution." The word twisted. Riley rose, movements fluid, too synced to Lena's retreat, step for step, mirroring her panic. Thunder boomed, lights flickered, and in the strobe, Riley's face shifted. No, not shifted, echoed, lips curving in Lena's nervous half-smile. "You're scared? That's my fear too. See? We're the same." Lena bolted to her room, door barricaded with her desk chair, phone clutched as lightning etched crosses on the walls. Texts flew to her ex. "Roomie crazy, send help." But Riley's knocks came soft, rhythmic, matching Lena's pulse. Tap-tap, breath hitch, tap. "Open up. I just want to be you. For us." Hours blurred into dawn. Silence fell, but Lena didn't sleep. She packed a duffel at first light. Essentials, sketchbook, the earring Riley manifested, and slipped out while thunder's echo lingered. A coffee shop became HQ. She messaged the landlord, citing hostile environment. Forked over first, last for a solo studio in East Austin. Police? "No threats, ma'am, civil matter." But the forums, the Reddit rabbit holes, are creepy roommates. Threads on doppelganger delusion, survivors swapping tales of mimics who burrowed deeper than skin. One user, Shadow Echo 2, posted, "Mine started with playlists, ended with her forging my ID. Change everything, locks, name, soul if you can." Lena did. New number, blocked Riley's art accounts, even dyed her hair ash blonde. Months later, a package arrived at her new digs, unmarked, weighted with clay. Inside, a stop-motion doll, her old features, scar and all, lips stitched in blue thread. Note, "Miss our vibe. Be me back." Chills etched permanent. Lena burned it in a parking lot fire pit, flames devouring the mimic as rain hissed approval. Listener, if Lena's echo chamber hell has you replaying your roommate's laughs in your head, questioning every coincidence, lean in. This is the value we chase, spotting the subtle thefts before they claim you. These stories aren't just chills. They're blueprints for boundaries, radars for red flags like copied quirks or pilfered privacy. Picture your own space. Does that shared Spotify feel too synced? That inspired outfit too, on the nose. Arm yourself with awareness. Journal the oddities. Trust the gut twist. And never ignore the mirror that stares back unblinking. Because in the game of shared walls, the mimic doesn't announce. It arrives wearing your face. And if this first tale's already got your door chained tighter, prove you're built for the unmasking. Hit subscribe now. Show you're in the fight against the facades, or risk blending into the background of someone else's obsession. How many of us will echo back, refusing to fade? But don't drift. Story 2 awaits, where the horror isn't imitation, it's invasion. The kind that turns your bedroom into a battlefield of unseen eyes. Stick around. The night's young, and the shadows are just warming up. Whew, that mimic's murmur still echoes, doesn't it? Like a bad remix you can't skip. But let's pivot to the meat of it. The slow erosion. The way Lena's world warped from collab to cage. Dive deeper. Post-move. She scoured Riley's online trail, unearthing a ghost account on DeviantArt, username Blue Muse Echo, flooded with animations of blurred figures merging, melting into one, always the same jawline, freckles faint as regrets. Comments from faceless fans, obsessed with the identity bleed. Your best yet. One video, time-stamped the night Lena fled, looped a clay puppet dissolving into another, voiceover in Riley's timbre laced with Lena's lilt. What if I am you, and you were always me? Chills? Understatement. Lena's therapist, a no-nonsense woman with wire-rim specs, labeled it parasitic attachment, a psych term for when one soul latches, leeching traits till the host hollows. It's not supernatural, she assured, but feels it. Powers in naming the beast. Lena named hers in ink, a comic series, Echo Theft, serialized on Webtoon by fall 2022. Panels pulsing with that loft's golden light turned toxic. Readers flooded in. This is my ex-roomie. Swear she copied my tattoos. Mine hummed my nightmares. The series hit 50,000 views by Halloween, catharsis in pixels, but Riley lurked. A private message. Account deleted post-send. Love the art. Added your scar to my next piece. Collab? Lena blocked, reported, but the what-ifs gnawed. Had Riley watched her sleep, cataloguing breaths, stolen socks to scent her space like home. The loft lease ended. New tenants posted pics on Zillow, beams the same, but shadows sharper, as if waiting. Lena's solo studio. Sanctuary, sure. Deadbolts tripled. Ring cam vigilant. But solitude's double-edged. No one to hear the floor creak. No echo to blame on another. She dates now, cautiously, vetting with, tell me your weirdest habit over apps, but trust's fractured, a mirror cracked. Friends rally, game nights in neutral zones, no overnights. Yet in quiet hours, sketching alone, she catches her reflection mid-hum, Nirvana riff, unbidden, and wonders, did a piece of the mimic stay? Listener, that's the true terror. Not the theft, but the residue, the way it rewires your rhythm. So audit your own duet. That roommate's new tattoo matching your birthmark? Their sudden love for your Thai takeout spot? Probe it. Politely. Hey, fun coincidence. But eyes open. Because once the mimic moves in, eviction's just the start. The echoes, they linger like graffiti on your ghost. And here's the raw truth, the value bomb. These tales teach resilience, the art of reclaiming your outline. Lena's thriving. Webtoon deal in talks, therapy a weekly ritual, even a tattoo over the scar. Original sin. She journals still, not for fear, but fuel. August 3rd. Riley's laugh in my dream. Mine now, louder. Empowerment's in the rewrite. If you're nodding, shadows lengthening in your room, remember, you're the protagonist, not the prop. Set scenes. House rules etched in shared Google Doc. No borrowing without asking. Vibes included. Enforce with grace but steel. Love the inspo, but let's keep our palettes pure. And community, gold. Forums like Our Roommate Horrors aren't just vents. They're vigils, survivors swapping spells. White sage the space. Change your Wi-Fi SSID to no mimics allowed. Lena lurks there. Anonymous U fractured ink, dropping, Mimics fade if you flood them with your light. Blast your playlist, unapologetic. Her stories rippled, inspiring a TikTok trend. Roommate red flags, users lip-syncing warnings over horror OSTs. One viral, a girl in Chicago, spotting her roomie's copied journal entries, credits Lena for the bailout. Chain reaction, listener. Your share could save a stranger's sleep. But don't stop at stories. Act. Tonight, inventory your space. That borrowed book returned with dog-eared pages in your handwriting. Confront calm. Record if needed. Apps like Otter. AI for the convo log. Legal. Eviction notices via certified mail. Small claims for stolen peace. And prevention? Vet like a detective. Reverse image their pics. Quiz quirks pre-lease. What's your go-to midnight snack? Mismatch? Run. Because in this economy of shared square footage, your sanity's the premium upgrade. Yet the mimic's mythos deepens. Psych-lit whispers of folie à deux, shared madness where boundaries blur, one mind bleeding into another's. Riley, classic case, per Lena's shrink, insecure artist, latching onto Lena's confidence like a shadow puppeteer. But was it malice or mirror? Riley's trail Peters. Last post, 2023, a clay bust of two faces fused, captioned, Unity and Duplicity. Account dormant, rumors on Austin Art Slack. She crashed a gallery, screaming about stolen selves. And Lena avoids those haunts, but dreams recycle, loft rain, Riley's knock evolving to her own fist on the glass. Wake sweats, yes, but growth's grit. She mentors now, uni workshops on creative autonomy, preaching, your art's yours, guard the gate. Attendees, wide-eyed freshmen, nod. My dormies copying my study notes, creepy. Lena, set the script. Appreciate the nod, but credit where due. Ripple again. Listener, if this resonates, etching doubts about your own duet, pause. What's the last coincidence that prickled? Journal it. Share anonymized on the subs. Catharsis communal. And subscribe? If Lena's echo has you amplifying your voice, click it. Free, fierce, a beacon for the borrowed. No excuses. Join the chorus calling out the copies. Because in the remix of Roomie Roulette, the original wins when we harmonize horror into hymn. Now, breathe. Story 2's shadows stir, where eyes in the walls watch not just you, but wait. But let's linger on Lena's legacy, the long tale of terror turned triumph. By spring 2023, Echo Theft arcs hit Webtoon Top 10, panels pulsing with fan art, readers reimagining their mimics as vanquished villains. Lena's Con Circuit, SXSW, Emerald City Comic Con, buzzes with meet and greets, survivors hugging, your story got me out. Revenue rolls, merch drops of B original tees, scar cover stickers. Therapy evolves to EMDR, eye movement desensitizing the door knocks to white noise. Dating, a animator guy, meta-ironically, but boundaries ironclad. No collabs till lease 2. While they laugh over it, his genuine guffaw clashing her echo fear. The Loft, repurposed Airbnb, reviews raving artsy vibes, oblivious to the haunt. Riley, vanished act, a 2024 Craigslist sighting in Portland, ad for Muse wanted, no originals. Lena flags it, moves on. Her latest issue, climax where the mimic shatters, shards reforming as the hero's crown. That's us, she tells her reflection, scar winking back. Listener, that's the arc, from duplicated dread to duplicated dawn. Apply it. Next room hunt? Questionnaire deep? Describe your alone time ritual. Mismatch? Swipe left on the lease. And in current quarters, rituals reinforce. Weekly, me audits. Listing quirks unshared. It's armor, lightweight but lethal. Value maxed. You're not just surviving stories, you're scripting safeguards. If this one's lodged like a looped track, exhale. Story 2's invasion awaits, where the creep isn't sound but sight, the gaze that grafts itself to your every blink. Have you ever flicked on the bathroom light at 3 a.m.? bleary-eyed and vulnerable only to sense, not see but feel, a presence in the corner of your eye, a silhouette that vanishes when you whirl, leaving you wondering if your roommate's late-night wanderings are just footsteps or something slinking through the vents, cataloging your every unguarded moment. What if that half-open door to their room isn't carelessness, but an invitation for shadows to spill over, watching you undress, eat, cry, until the apartment feels less like home and more like a diorama under glass, with you as the unwitting exhibit? Buckle up, listener, because our second true creepy roommate horror story plunges into The Watcher, a tale so laced with paranoia it could rewrite your lease terms on privacy. This one's drawn from the frayed nerves of Marcus, a 27-year-old software coder from Seattle, who in the drizzly autumn of 2023 snagged a bargain basement deal on a Capitol Hill walk-up via roommates.com. Marcus, lanky with perpetual bedhead and a caffeine IV drip, had just relocated from Spokane for a remote gig at a fintech startup, his life packed into 2 suitcases and a tower of code books. The ad hooked him. Cozy 2-bed in a Victorian conversion, rent split 50-50, roommate, quiet professional, night owl like me. Enter Theo, 29, a freelance copywriter with a neatly trimmed beard, wire-rimmed glasses, and a bio promising minimal drama, maximal Wi-Fi. They met at a neutral Starbucks, Theo's handshake firm, his chatter about craft IPAs and indie films disarming. "I'm barely here, edits till dawn," he shrugged, and Marcus, allergic to small talk, exhaled relief. Move-in day. Clockwork. Marcus's rig on the desk by the bay window. Theo's minimalist setup. Laptop, leather journal, a single ficus, claiming the second bedroom. Harmony hummed those first weeks, fist bumps over takeout Thai, Theo leaving fresh ground coffee in the French press, Marcus cueing Netflix docs for their rare overlaps. But listener, attune your ears. The watching began as absence, the negative space that screams presence. It was mid-October, fog rolling off Puget Sound like ghostly breath, when Marcus noticed the stillness too still. Home from a virtual stand-up, he kicked off boots in the foyer calling, "Theo, grabbed pho if you're in." Silence saved the fridge's hum. Odd, but coder's zone. He shrugged, booted his Mac, dove into debugging. Hours later, hunger gnawing, he hit the kitchen and paused. His takeout bag, untouched on the counter, but the styrofoam lid cracked open, just enough to peek the steaming noodles within. Steam? He'd been back 2 hours, cold by now. Heart tick quickened. He glanced at Theo's door, closed, knob pristine. "Weird draft," he muttered, microwaving anyway. That night, coding till eyelids drooped, a prickle danced his neck, like eyes on his nape. He spun. Empty living room, ficus leaves rustling in the vent breeze. Paranoia. Blame the late burrito. But mornings multiplied the unease. Coffee mug, rinsed, but handle turned left. Marcus's quirk, Theo's righty. Socks by the couch, paired oddly. One his Argyle, the other Theo's plain black. "Laundry mix-up," he texted Theo, out on a client lunch. Reply, "Haha, ghosts? Nah, I'm tidy AF." Laugh emoji, but the prickle persisted. Envision it, listener. Seattle's perpetual gray seeping through mullioned windows, rain pattering like impatient fingers, the apartment a cocoon of exposed brick and scuffed oak that now feels staged, spotlit. By November, the watches wove tighter. Marcus's routine, morning jogs along Broadway, post-run protein shake blended with banana and almond butter, echoed back altered. He'd return, sweat slick, blender whirring from the kitchen, but Theo at his desk, headphones clamped. "Smoothie?" Marcus asked once, mid-blend pause. Theo blinked, innocent. "Yours?" Thought it was communal. Banana peels in the trash. 2. His and... Nights deepened the dread. Midnight bathroom runs, light switch flipping to reveal droplets on the mirror. Fresh, though Theo swore early bedtimes. Marcus installed a cheap Wise cam in the hall. For package theft, he fibbed to himself. Footage. Grainy ghosts. Shadows shifting when he slept. Door cracks widening like eyes. One clip, 3:14 a.m., froze him mid-rewatch. A figure, tall and bearded, lingering by his bedroom door, head cocked, unmoving for 4 minutes 20 seconds. Theo's build, but glasses glinting wrong, like polarized lenses catching moonlight. Sleepwalking, Marcus rationalized, but deleted the app. Sleep fracturing. Friends over for game night. Theo, charming, cracking IPAs and quips. Noticed nothing. But post-departure, Marcus found their empties aligned by height on the sill, labels facing out like exhibit tags. Organizing OCD, Theo explained next dawn. But his journal, left splayed on the table, brimmed with entries. Marcus's stride, 22 inches, efficient. Shake rotation, banana Tuesdays. Pages time-stamped to his jog returns. Stomach knotted, confrontation brewed over eggs. Theo, the notes. Boundary breach, man. Theo's laugh tinkled, too light. Research. Copywriting hack. Observe the muse. Muse? Marcus's skin crawled. Theo's gaze held, probing, as if memorizing the flinch. The watches escalated post-Thanksgiving, city lights twinkling like voyeur stars. Marcus's code breaks, deadlines slipping. He crashes early, 10 p.m., pillow fort against the world. 2 a.m., jolt, not noise, but pressure. Air heavy as judgment. Eyes snap open to darkness, but periphery prickles. Someone there, breath synced to his. He bolts upright, empty room, door ajar. He'd latched it. Heart jackhammer, he fumbles phone light. Floor scuff marks, fresh, leading from his bed to Theo's wall. Vent grate loose, finger wedges wide. Prank, he whispers to the app, recording voice memos till dawn. November 28th. Watched, not imagined. Daylight delusion? Theo out. Marcus raids the room. Drawers yield nothing but pressed shirts. But under the bed, a lockbox, key in the ficus pot. Inside, photos, printed from a hidden cam. Marcus coding, brow furrowed. Marcus stretching post-jog, tank clinging. Marcus asleep, mouth slack. Timestamp 2023. October 15th, the first steam night. Notes appended. Vulnerable arc. Capture trust fall. Gaze hold. 3 seconds max. Build intimacy. And the kicker, red inked. I thought I knew who I lived with. Turns out he's the perfect subject. Bile. Marcus retched in the sink, box clutched like contraband. He confronted at dusk, prints splayed on the coffee table. What the actual fuck, Theo? Roommate's face drained, then recomposed. Calm, clinical. Art. Behavioral study. Your patterns inspire my prose. Patterns. Marcus's voice rose. Stalker shit. Out. Theo's eyes narrowed. First crack. You invited me in. Shared space, shared sight. Chill. The ficus dropped a leaf, slow as accusation. That night Marcus slept armed. Baseball bat by bed. Cam live streamed to cloud. Alerts pinged at 1:47 a.m. Motion. Theo's door creeping open. Figure gliding to Marcus's threshold. Pausing, head tilt. Watching. Bat gripped. Marcus feigned sleep, breath even. Minutes stretched. Then, a whisper. Paper soft. Sleep tight, subject. Footsteps recede. Marcus surges, door slams. Locked this time. Dawn dash, sublet hunt. Lease break fees be damned. Cops. Harassment evidence. Prints time-stamped from his own printer. Theo's hack. Civil, file restraining. Marcus vacated by week's end, crashing on a co-worker's couch, box burned in a park barrel. Forums flooded his anonymized post on Seattle, WA. Roomie watcher, cams invents. Replies, classic voyeur nesting, change all codes. Mine hid mics in smoke detectors. Theo, vanished. Copywriting gigs dried. Last LinkedIn update, seeking new narratives. Marcus codes solo now, high-rise eerie, cams everywhere, hall, fridge, even the ficus he bought mockingly. Trusts, tarnished, dates ghost at tell me your habits. but value gleams. He blogs code for privacy, tutorials on home hacks, dummy cams, app wards, going viral among remote workers. Watch back, his tagline. Listeners, if Theo's gaze has you glancing over shoulders, that's the spark. Reclaim the sightlines. Inventory your space. Loose vents? Grates askew? Secure 'em. Apps like Nest, alerts armed. And confront? Script it. Boundaries breached. Discuss or depart. Record, report. Resources like rain for the stalked psyche. You're the director now, not the doll. Listener, Marcus's vigil still scans the corners, doesn't it? Like infrared on flesh. But let's excavate the excavation. The way Theo's study spiraled from quirk to quarantine. Post-flight, Marcus audited footage. Dozens of clips, spliced into montages. His laugh loops, jog montages set to ambient drone. One file, Subject Arc 1, narrated in Theo's timbre. Isolation breeds purity. Observe the unravel. Psych Eval later pegged it, erotomania light, delusion of unseen connection, but Marcus calls bullshit. Control, pure. He sued small claims for lease breach, won 3 months' rent, precedent for emotional trespass. Therapy unpacked the prickle. Your spotlight fear, wired from nomadic folks. And now Marcus mentors coders on secure spaces, workshops blending firewalls with door jams. Attendees, my flatmate logs my fridge raids, creepy. Marcus, log back, patterns expose. His blog hits 10,000 subs, posts like Vent Vets, Spot the Spy trending. A follow-up, Seattle PD tip line flags Theo in a similar suit. Another muse pressing charges. Justice ripples. Listener, apply. Next overlap. Eye the eyes. Lingering lids. Lingering lids. Quiz. What's your downtime ritual? Evasive. Evict vibes. Current pad. Ritual rounds. Nightly sweeps. Bat handy. Value vaulted. From watched to watcher, you script the scene. If this invasion's invading your idle scans, pause. Last loose grate. Tighten it. And around the 1,000 mark here, if Theo's tilt has you tilting toward truth, click subscribe. It's free, no shadows attached, just a squad scanning the scans. No excuse. Join the gaze that guards. Now, onward. Story 3's Harvest Hungers, where the creep collects not glances, but grafts. But the watcher's wake widens. Marcus's montages morphed to manifesto, a Substack under observation, dissecting delusion with data viz, heat maps of Theo's timestamps peeking at his REM. Subscribers surge. My roomie mirrors my mouse clicks. Hack? Marcus. Audit access. One collab. App watchward. AI flagging anomalous access. Beta tested in his eerie. Therapy? Group now. Voyeur vets swapping scars. Mine filmed feeds. Laughter heals, laced with lit checks. Theo's trail. Cold case podcast bait. The copywriter's canvas. Episode 3. Marcus guest. Voice steady. Eyes everywhere. Blind 'em with boundaries. Listeners DM. Your story saved my lease. Chain forged. Listener, forge yours. Journal the jitters. November 10th. Mug turned. Patterns pop. Legal light. Templates on Nolo. Cease and desist for the soul snoop. And prevention. Lease clause. No unobserved observation. Witty. Weighty. In your nook now. Ritual. Mirror check. Reflection solo. Good. If Theo's echo eyes you askance, exhale. Story 3's shears sharpen. Clipping more than clippings. Have you ever opened your closet door expecting your favorite sweater, only to find it draped over a mannequin you don't own, fibers woven with strands that match your own hair? A silent testament that your roommate isn't just borrowing clothes. They're borrowing you piece by thread until your wardrobe whispers their obsessions back at you. What if that gift on your pillow, a locket with your photo inside, but the eyes scratched out, isn't affection, but autopsy? The first cut in collecting your essence for their private pantheon. Grip tight, listener, for our third true creepy roommate horror story. The Collector. Harvested from the haunted hollows of 24-year-old baker Elise, who in the crisp bite of 2024 split a cozy craftsman in Portland's Alberta Arts District with a woman named Petra via a local Facebook group. Elise, flour-dusted and freckled, had parlayed her patisserie passion into a gig at a hipster bakery, her days scented with sourdough and vanilla, nights dreaming of her own gluten-free empire. The post lured, funky shared house, creative soul sought, baker bonus. Petra, 26, a mixed-media sculptor with sleeve tattoos of thorny roses and a voice like smoked honey, sealed it with a porch tour. We'll trade dough for clay. Muses mutual. Chemistry crackled. Elise moved in with rolling pins and recipe tomes, Petra's studio spilling canvases into the hall. Bliss bloomed, Petra taste-testing Elise's lavender scones, Elise posing for quick sketches, their laughter lacing the air like lemon zest. But listener, savor the subtle sour. The collecting commenced clandestine crumbs of conquest. It was late February, Valentine's detritus still pink on the streets, when Elise noticed the first absence. Her favorite enamel pin, a tiny rolling pin from her grandma's estate, vanished from her denim jacket. Misplaced in the flour frenzy, she sighed, baking till butter browned her worries. Days later, Petra's welcome tart appeared on the counter, glazed hearts adorned with sugar flowers, and nestled in the center, the pin, edible clay replica, gleaming. Thought it'd inspire, Petra winked, your legacy, sweetened. Cute, quirky, until the next, Elise's childhood locket, silver with a pressed violet from her first garden, gone from her nightstand. Petra's next sculpture, a bust of Elise mid-laugh, wore it, real metal, chain taut around porcelain throat. Found it under the couch, fate's flourish, Petra purred. Elise's smile strained. The locket's clasp clicked wrong, inner photo flipped, her grandma's face backward. Artistic license, she echoed, but sleep soured, dreams of threads unspooling from her scalp. Picture the Portland pole, evergreen gloom pierced by street lamp halos, the craftsman creaking like old bones, rooms redolent of yeast and wet clay that now clings clammy. By March, the harvest hastened. Elise's baking shifts left her drained, dropping mitts and measuring spoons. Mornings, she'd find them aligned on the sill, polished, positioned like talismans. Helpful haunting? She joked to Petra over oolong. Petra's eyes, hazel-flecked gold, held honeyed heat. Your tools sing, why not spotlight? Spotlight? Elise's gut twisted. Her vanity mirror, fogged post-shower, bore fingerprints not hers, delicate, tracing her jaw. Hair ties multiplied in Petra's studio, black elastics knotted with Elise's auburn strands, woven into rose-thorn crowns for busts. Sourcing sustainably, Petra explained, snipping a lock mid-convo. May I? Matches the muse. Scissors cold. Elise nodded numb, but that night, pillow plumped with gifts, a barrette, hers from the market, clasp bent, a vial labeled Elise's Essence, March 10th, swirling with saliva. From her water glass, lipsticked rim missing, revulsion roiled, she confronted over cornbread. Petra, the vial, violation not vibe. Sculptor's smile splintered, then softened. Inspiration's intimate. Your flavor fuels the form. Flavor? Elise backed, barrette biting palm. The collection's crescendoed come cherry blossom drift, April's petals papering paths. Elise's journal, leather-bound with daisy emboss, pilfered for prompts. Entries excerpted in Petra's mixed media. Collages of Elise's cursive confessions, fear of fading, pasted over her silhouette, hair woven as frame. Your words, my world. Petra presented at a housewarming for her art circle. Strangers sipping Pinot, oohing over the baker's bloom. Elise, cornered, feigned flattery, but inside iced. The collage's eye, her locket photo, violet wilted. Friends filtered out. Petra lingered, locket looped on her neck. Wear it well? Elise snatched, chain snapping, link lost like trust. That eve, alone, she scoured Petra's studio, shelves sagged with shrines, nail clippings in resin orbs, Elise's grip, shed skin flakes from her flour-dusted arms, flaked into filigree, even a scone crumb, magnified under glass, titled Crumble Core. Centerpiece, mannequin, Elise's measurements taped, 34 bust, 27 waist, draped in her borrowed sweater, seams split for clay embeds. Note pinned. I thought I knew who I lived with. Turns out she's the clay I mold. Elise gagged, mannequin's eyes, buttons from her grandma's coat, staring. Flight instinct fired. She bolted to the bakery crash pad, boss's cot, texting leasemates. Out, collector's cage. Cops canvassed dawn. Stalking statute, prove intent. Evidence bagged, vial, clippings. But Petra played porcelain. Artistic expression, consent implied in cohab. Implied? Elise's restraining order stuck, but the haunt harvested on. Packages post-move, gifts of glazed violets, pins replicated in porcelain. Forums fed her fight. R. Portland, thread artsy stalker. Replies, Petra Voss, her shows scream serial. 1X Muse, collected my tears in ink, fled to Eugene. Elise exposed it, a non-post viral. Baker's harvest, don't be the dough. Baker's bonded, tips on thief-proof tins. Collectives crowdfunding her solo cottage. Therapy tilled trauma. Hoarding hearts, heal by baking boundaries. Now, Elise's empire. Essence bakes. Allergen-free. Ethos etched. Ingredients mine. Yours savored, not stolen. Pop-ups pack houses. Fans flashing lockets. Reclaimed. Petra. Gallery blacklist. Last show. Muses molded. Shuttered for ethical erosion. Listener. If Petra's pinch has you patting pockets, that's the pluck. Guard the gleanings. Inventory intimates. Hair ties tally. Locks on lockers. Confront crafted. Collect consent. Or curate elsewhere. Record. Rally. Resources like Stalking Resource Center. You're the artisan, not the artifact. Listener. Petra's plucks still prickle, eh? Like burrs in the braid. But burrow deeper. The bakers bleed from bloom to blight. Post-parting, Elise's evidence expo, vials verified by lab, saliva hers, DNA damning, small claim snagged studio security deposit, funding boundary bakes, workshops on recipe for respect, dough kneading as metaphor for mending. Attendees, my roomie raids my spice rack, creepy? Elise, spice back, label lives. Her Insta, essence unstolen, swells. Reels reclaiming recipes, rose thorn tattoos inked over. Therapy? Art now, sculptures of self, flower forms fierce, unharvested. Petra's petalful, PD probe for priors, 3 muses missing heirlooms, 1 vanished. Podcast pitch, Clay Confessions, Elise exec producer. Listeners, your story spiced my split, echo enriched. Listener, enrich yours, journal the jots. April 5th, locket looped. Patterns petal, legal lace, templates on legal Zoom, trespass for the touch. Prevention, lease leaf. No unbidden borrowing, body or bauble. In your kitchen now, ritual, tally the tins. Solo, sweet. If Petra's preserve preserves your paranoia, breathe. Story 4's phantoms flicker, where the haunt's not harvest but haunt. Yet the collector's crop continues. Elise's Essence line launches 2025, violet vials of vanilla extract, purely personal tag, revenue reclaims, therapy trust, tattoo tribute, group grapples, hoarder hearts healing, my flatmate filches my flower, Elise, flower power, fence it, blog blooms, pinch-proof pantries, viral among van lifers, a collab, app, collect check, scans for swipes, beta in her cottage. Petra's press? Poison pen? Exhibit axed for appropriation, whispers of warrants. Justice jigs. Listener, jig yours. Mimic the mend, list losses, litigate light. If this harvest's hooked your hoards, exhale. Finale's fractures fracture further. Have you ever woken to the sound of your own voice murmuring from the walls, not a recording but a resonance, as if your roommates absorbed your timbre and now broadcasts it back in the dead hours, turning your whispers into their wardrobe of woes? What if the apartment's anomalies? Doors ajar at dawn, your reflection rippling in the window like water, aren't glitches but grafts. Your roommate not just living with you, but layering over you until reality frays and you question if you're the original or the overlay. Anchor down, listener, for our fourth and final true creepy roommate horror story, The Possessor, exhumed from the existential unease of 21-year-old bio major Kira, who in the thawing thaw of 2025 paired with a transfer student named Landon via her university's off-campus housing board at UC Berkeley. Kira, curly-haired with a lab coat perpetually askew and a backpack bulging with textbooks on cellular mitosis, had aced her freshman year, but flunked finances, scholarships stretched thin. The listing lured, sunny two-bed near Telegraph Avenue. Science nerd seeks similar, quiet, quirky. Landon, 22, poli-sci major from SoCal with sun-bleached waves and an easy grin, clinched it with a dorm tour. We'll debate ethics over ramen, brain food. Vibed. Kira hauled in her microscope slides and succulents, Landon's lava lamp bubbling welcome. Symbiosis sparked, study sessions swapping synaptic notes, Landon brewing Kira's matcha just so, Kira editing his op-eds with scalpel precision. But listener, calibrate your cells. The possession pulsed primordial, a subtle splice. It was mid-March, cherry blossoms bombing the quad, when Kira caught the first fission. Her alarm, set for 6:15 a.m., blared at 5:52, early, but her groggy reset dismissed it. Afternoon lab, phone buzzed. Voicemail, her own voice. Kira, meeting prof at 4, cover? But she'd said no such. The inflection, her slight lisp on prof. Delete, chalked to auto-dictate demon. Nights nested the nucleus. Kira's insomnia rituals, tossing with podcasts on quantum entanglement, echoed back. She'd drift off to Neil deGrasse Tyson's timbre, wake to Landon's door murmuring the same episode. Verbatim, her skipped breaths synced. Binge overlap? She queried over quinoa bowls. Landon's laugh lilted hers. Telepathy twin? Twin, the term twanged. Visualize the Berkeley bustle, co-eds cascading like chromosomes, the apartment a petri of peeling posters and potted ferns that now nucleates unease. By April, the overlays opaqued. Kira's gait, short steps, left heel favoring an old sprain, mirrored in Landon's lounge. He'd pace her pattern when she showered, pausing at her door like punctuation. Her notebook, left open to mitosis diagrams, sprouted annotations in her script. Kira's cells divide, mine merge. Ink hers, blue pilot pen from her pouch. Collaborative note? She needled Landon post-pizza. His eyes, green as kelp, echoed empathy. Subconscious sync, your brain's brilliant. Brilliant? Kira's neurons fired frantic. Mirrors multiplied the madness. Bathroom glass, post-steam, bore her outline traced in fog. Faint, finger-wide, appended with, watch the split. Not hers, Landon's reach longer. Sleep spliced, dreams of duplication, her form fracturing, Landon's laugh layering over. Wake to anomalies. Succulents shifted, arranged in her childhood constellation. Orion's belt from family camping. Nostalgic nudge? She voiced to her reflection, rippling wrong. The core cracked. Mayday, finals fever. Kira crashed post-orgo, 8 p.m., door latched. 2 a.m., stir, not thirst, but tether, invisible string, yanked. Room rotated? No, rearranged, desk angled to face her bed. Microscope under lamp, slide loaded with, her hair mounted labeled, Kira Core, May 1st. Heart halved, she stormed Landon's door, knob turning to her twist. Inside, walls wallpapered with her, phone pics pilfered, lab candids cropped, even a deep fake vid of her debating, voice hissing his talking points. Journal jumbled. Kira's cadence, adopt for authenticity. Her sprain, feign to feel. Final entry, fevered. I thought I knew who I lived with. Turns out, she's the vessel I vacate. Vessel. Kira vaulted back, barricade with biobin, 911 nimble, Intruder intent, identity theft. Responders roamed. Landon, lights out, feigned fog. Nightmare, shared space, shares selves. Shares? Kira's claim clung. Evidence exported. Slides snapped, journal JPEG'd. Campus council convened. Coercive control, relocate. She did, dorm dash. Finals fled to library lairs. Forums fortified. R. Berkeley. Possessor Rumi? Chorus. Landon Lyle? Transfer terror. Mirrored my major. One survivor. Adopted my accent, auditioned my life. Kira's post. Cellular swap. Pulsed. Don't divide. Detect. BioBuds bolstered. Boundary buffers. Bolts on bins. Now Kira's kernel. Thesis on symbiotic sentience. TEDx tease on self-sovereignty in shared shells. Labs lock. Loves vetted. Voice your voids. Landon, leave of absence. Whispers of psych ward. Listener, if Landon's layer has you listening to your larynx, that's the link. Splice the signs. Audit anomalies. Alarm askew. Recode. Confront coded. Sync sweet, but souls solo. Record. Rally. Resources like calc for co-ed creeps. You're the nucleus, not the node. Listener, Landon's lurk lingers, layering your lexicon, like lexicon leech. But let's layer the lore, the bio's bifurcation from bond to breach. Postpart, Kira's kernel cracked open, deepfake decoded by cyber sleuths, Landon's laptop laced with mimic mods, voice synths stealing her speech, small claims snared sublet subsidy, seeding sovereign cells, seminar series on self-scan, succulents as sentinels. Attendees, my flatmate apes my apps, eerie, Kira, app back, auth codes, her TEDx, 2026 trends, vessel or victor. A views vault, viral vines of her varnishing vials, therapy, tandem now, twin survivors, mine merged my memos, merges mend, Landon's limbo, litigated for libel, op-ed outed as hers, byline burgled, podcast prospect, overlay onslaught, Kira co-host. Listeners, your yarn yielded my yield. Yield yours. Journal junctures, May 3rd, slide spliced, junctions jump. Legal lattice, templates on campus legal, intrusion injunctions. Prevention, board bio, quirks quarantine, yours, not yoinked. In your burrow, ritual, reflect the ripple, solo silhouette. Solid. If Landon's leech leeches your lease, loosen. Curtain call closes. But truths tally eternal. And remember, subscribe, because if you don't, you'll be leaving these stories in the shadow, echoes unanswered. Thanks for seeking the splice with us. But the possessor's pulse persists. Kira's thesis touts 2027, Nobel nod for neural nets netting narcissists. Revenue reknits, therapy trove, tattoo of tangled cells, me mitosis. Group grafts, graft guards, my roomie recites my recs. Kira, rec back, rig routines. Blog burgeons, splice-proof synapses, buzzing among bio bros. A app alliance, self-scan, flags fake faces, beta in her bay. Landon's last, lawsuit lost, locale lost, SoCal shuffle, justice junctions. Listener, junction yours. Mimic the matrix, list the lifts, litigate the layers. If this overlays over your optics, overlay onward. You've navigated the nucleus.